When I was young, my uncle was locked up, and the first thing he told me, you get some money, buy some property. You find out real fast that everybody else's problems is yours now. I came in the back door and left out as a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because I was looking one day, I was just looking at stats. They were like, it was like one of the best players of all time. They consider Santana Moss, and you were like up there, like the top 5.
At one point, I had the most receiving yards career-wise, something that I surpassed that Michael Irvin held for a long time.
Yeah.
The first time my dad ever asked me what it was I wanted to be when I grew up, I pointed at the TV screen. It was playing football.
Yeah.
And I just knew it. Never touched the football probably at that time of like playing or nothing like that. I was too young to really even know what was going on. At the time, I was fighting for my life to even get noticed by schools, you know, in high school rather. To be awarded a track scholarship when you knew that my journey, my goal is to play football, you know, it was a no-brainer at the time.
My favorite memory, man, I still remember that Monday night game in Dallas. We were all together watching, and we were like, oh man, this game sucks. Everybody left. You catch that ball, score, I think, and then you caught it again and won. And that like happened so quick, man.
I remember like it was yesterday. I hadn't ran none of those routes yet.
Yeah.
We was getting out behind thrash, you know, so I'm back. Coach Gibbs walked back with him and said, hey, you want to run the Dino? I'm still getting to know people around here. This is my second game with the team. I looked at the clock, I'm like, I guess, Coach. I'm not going to say no. Lo and behold, man, we go out there, run the Dino first, and boom. Touchdown.
Appreciate you being on the show, man. And just real quick, like one thing I want to ask you, I've always wondered this, is if you're like an athlete, right, and you're in high school, college, I mean, do you know right away I want to be in the NFL? Are you like working for that? Is that like, all right, I'm going to just go for that? Like, what did that look like?
I think for some of us, it's kind of like, we born with that wiring. You know what I mean? I can say for myself, obviously, I knew immediately that that was my destination. That's where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And trust me, I have kids of my own now, so I can see that it's I guess you can say, you know, different environments will cause you to think differently, or different upbringings will cause you to kind of like think differently. But I don't really think it's about how good or bad you have it. I think it just has to be embedded in you.
Yeah.
The first time my dad ever asked me what it was I wanted to be when I grew up, I pointed at the TV screen. It was playing football. And I just knew it. Like, never touched the football probably at that time of like playing or nothing like that. I was too young to really even know what was going on. But I knew that it was something about that game that he was watching on TV that intrigued me enough to say, I want to do that, you know, one day.
Yeah, because I mean, and then, that's crazy, man, to be that night. So then you were just like locked onto it?
It's funny because I didn't play organized football until I was 12.
Wow.
I remember going to the summer programs like the Boys and Girls Club, you know, in the summertime when you out of school. And I remember the coaches seeing me running up and down the field like, hey, you play football? And I'm like, nah. And they like, let me talk to your mom or your grandmother.
Get you out here, right, exactly.
To get you to play with me, to play for us. And I remember being so distraught because my mom was like, nah, I think he's going to get hurt.
Oh, he's too small.
You're young. And you know, mom's always the overprotective ones. And it's funny, when she told them no, immediately that year, probably that summer, I broke my arm for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, well, I could have been playing football if I was going to be doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And every summer or every year, it seemed like it was something new on me breaking. I was I was one of those kids that I'm always active out there playing, jumping off houses, jumping off fences. I'm backflipping off, or you name it. You say, I can't do it, I'm going to go up and do it.
Right, 100%.
And that just was the neighborhood I grew up in. Like, that's when times was like, fun.
For sure. Yeah, you wouldn't have the phone or none of that.
Man, we go outside that morning and your parents don't see you for the whole day. You know?
Right, exactly.
On a damn voyage through the neighborhood, just doing things. And so I remember, man, them days growing up in Liberty City, just, you know, couldn't do nothing else but be a kid. And eventually, you know, I moved to Carroll City, and that was like, I don't know if it was like my present, but it was like a present to me because that's the year I ended up playing football.
Nice, man. How old were you then?
I was like 12.
That's when you were 12. Nice, man. Yeah, I grew up in a movie called Rad. You ever seen that movie?
Oh,
it was like an 80s like bike BMX movie. So like we would be gone all day.
I probably saw it and just
you probably did, dude. Yeah, like trying to think. Dude, 100%, man. So you were like a walk-on at the U, right?
Yeah.
What did that look like? Because I mean, the U at the time was like the college.
Well, so at the time I was a walk-on, I got a track scholarship. Which I didn't really want.
Right.
And that'd be hard for me to sit here and say that I don't want something when I don't have much else to, you know. But at the time, I was fighting for my life to even get noticed by schools, you know, in high school rather. And to be awarded a track scholarship when you knew that my journey, my goal is to play football.
Right.
And you had other schools, northern schools, Western Michigan. I wanted to visit the Western Michigan. I went to Eastern Michigan. I had a school, Pittsburgh. Those schools was offering me football rides.
Football, yeah.
But the University of Miami, like, you know, it was a no-brainer at the time. Like, when I talked to the coach, and he like, look, we give you a track scholarship. We don't have football scholarships right now. We on probation at the time. It was 96 going into, it was 97 actually.
Yeah.
So it was on probation. And he was like, look, if you worthy enough, if you can play football, then you should have no problem with coming in here and making the team.
Yeah.
And, you know, this first year, you know, you'll be on track scholarship, but I promise you the next year you'll have a full ride football scholarship. You just have to redshirt your first year. So I think that was like the kind of like the light bulb effect of like, okay, after I took those visits to Eastern and Western, I'm just like, yeah, do I want to go up?
You want to go to Michigan or Miami?
Do I want to be in the snow? Do I wanna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When football season is over with, do I want to be up here, like, you know, I guess you can say, you know, into, like, I would have to be in my room doing
I'd rather
something.
be in Miami than Western Michigan. I can agree with you on that.
So I just took the track scholarship, and before you know it, honestly, that first year I played, week 4, they changed it over to a football scholarship. I was worthy enough to get a scholarship out the gate.
Awesome, man.
And the rest been history, you know?
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. What's that like being in college, being like a college football star? I mean, can you even go to like class normally?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about the University of Miami, what I appreciate about it is it's a small, intimate private school.
Gotcha.
Like you know everybody.
Right.
Everybody knows you.
Yeah.
It's so small to where you can walk the campus, like literally, and you can walk the whole campus and probably make it to class on time. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
I didn't realize it was that small.
It's not that big. But at the same time, I think being that, yes, everyone's gonna know who you are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, your mission, our goal, every guy that came in, whether he was a track athlete, football player, baseball, whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever student athlete you were, your goal was to graduate.
Yeah, for sure.
And being that it was a private school, that's how they looked at you. They wanted you to, you know,
be successful.
UM was the bad boys back in the day, back in the 80s and the early 90s, but they also recruited kids that was coming in here that was eager to learn and be able to leave here with a degree. So I think that carried on, you know. If anything carried on at that school, you know, besides the winning championships, it was graduating their student athletes.
And like getting like the right-minded people in there and all that,
I think around the time when I was there, we had the highest numbers in graduates when it comes to football players. So my main goal was, that's what I wanted to do. Don't get me wrong, like the ultimate was always to make it pro. But when you came in the way I came in, you got to be real with yourself. You got to say, okay, I might have a shot. You know what I mean? Mentally, I'm focused on having that shot because as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, you know, I don't understand when guys say, this is what I want, and if I don't see it now, I'm going to be discouraged. In life, we don't know what's really destined for us. You just got to keep living, you know what I'm saying? So as a star athlete or as an athlete, period, I just got up every morning and did what I knew how to do. You know man,
you just like the compound effect, bro. You're putting in the work every day.
Put in the work, man. Go put on the blinders. Put in the work, and whatever happens, happens. You know?
100%.
And that's what it all boiled down to. And before you know it, I blinked. I was that guy. I was the guy that went from them saying he was a walk-on to now like this is the star wide receiver. The star track athlete. I stayed with the track team and did that in the offseason. So it was just all clicking for me. And before you know it, man, I came in the back door and left out as a first-round draft pick.
It's crazy to me because I was looking one day, I was just looking at stats or something, and I was looking at Miami, and they were like, it was like one of the best players of all time. They consider Santana Moss, and you were like up there like the top 5, and I was like, man, they've had what? Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, you know, Sean Taylor, everybody's been through there.
I mean, you know, honestly too, like at one point I had the most receiving yards career-wise, something that I surpassed that Michael Irvin held for a long time. And this year, Restrepo, you know, the wide receiver he was an undrafted free agent that went to Tennessee Titans, I believe. He just broke it, but he broke everything. He broke the yardage, he broke the catches. I think Reggie had the catches. He broke the yardage. He broke a lot, man. He did a lot. But just to get back to your point, to be able to be considered one of those guys when it was so many of
back then it was like everybody, man.
Man, it was a hell of an accomplishment.
For sure.
And trust me, like I said, I took pride in knowing that the way I got in there, it wasn't given. You know what I mean? I had to really go out there and earn it and live up to the tradition of being one of those great wide receivers that walk through those doors.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, so you get drafted with the Jets, right?
Yeah.
And then how long were you there for?
I was there for 4 years.
4 years, and then you signed with Washington?
Yeah. So
I remember that was a big deal when we got you over here, man.
Yeah. So I get drafted in 2001. I was a first round draft pick, 16 pick for the New York
That's
Jets.
Sick, man. It's crazy.
And those years.
Real quick, what was that like getting that call that you got drafted?
Man,
like that early.
To be honest with you, I knew I was getting drafted, and I knew it was first round. I just didn't know where.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, like, leading up to the draft, guys was like, scouts was like, look, if you was 6 feet or you was 5'11", 6 feet, you'd be the first receiver taken.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you hear stuff like that,
exactly.
it just goes back to how I got here. Like, man, I've always been denied.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's just motivation.
But I was just happy just knowing, man, you could have drafted me that day in the third round and I would have still been happy. But I knew the work that I put in, the things that I displayed on film, it led up to me being a guy that should be just, selected in the first round. So I was going to be appreciative regardless of whatever pick that day.
Yeah, you knew you were going to make it.
So when it happened, don't get me wrong, I was happy. I was so happy. I didn't show much emotions because the one thing I wasn't happy about, and this is no offense to the Jets, because I ended up loving that team while I was there.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to go to New York. That was my only thing I said.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I didn't say it openly.
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
said
Yeah, you ain't gonna say it openly.
amongst friends, they asked me before the draft, like, what one state you don't want to go to? And I'm like, New York.
Yeah.
And for it to happen,
New York City, man.
For it to happen, I was like, of course this happens to me.
Yeah,
but like I say, no offense to them, because even through some of the trials and tribulations that I had to go through when I got there, it still became one of the favorite places, for me.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Throughout my time of playing, and to this day, I look back at those years of the 4 years there. I actually turned into a man there. I came in as a boy and left and came here as a man.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Are you like, when you get to that level, are you just still like, is it hard not to be like focused all the time? Because you probably got a lot of distractions, right?
You know what's funny, man? I'm glad you asked that question, because people take for granted professional athletes' time.
Yeah, for sure.
And space and just the other things that goes on outside of what they do professionally.
Yeah.
Man, you find out real fast that everybody else's problems is yours now.
Yeah, oh, dude, I can only imagine.
You know what I'm saying?
Cousins coming out of the woodwork.
That's the gift and the curse, because not to say that you don't want those people around. You want those friends. You want the family. You want everybody to have that experience of you doing something that's extraordinary.
Right, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to think, some of us come from some of the slums of all slums, and to be able to make it out and be that one that's going to be able to provide for many, you know what I mean? Not just you, but many people, others in your family, whether it's giving them a job or just having something to give them, period.
Right.
That's something to, I guess you can say, to praise, and you see it quick.
Yeah, man.
I was level-headed enough to know that, look, man, with having what I have comes a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, 100%, man.
I took it like it came. I wasn't too high, never was too low about it, but I knew also that I can't allow what they have going on to affect what I have going on.
That's a hard thing to do, man.
Hard as fucking crap, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like money. The thing is, man, money and fame change everybody, man. No, I don't care who you are. You can be the best of the best, It changed you, but it also changed mostly the people around you, because they automatically think that since he has it, he has to be able to just say yes. Yeah, he can't say no,
It's no, and the only thing that changed about the person with it, now I've seen others, handle it differently, but I think one of the things that changed about the people that has it is that you can either say, now I'm scared to lose it, or now I'm just gonna not care.
Not give a shit. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's, you juggle with that, because you want to enjoy it, but at the same time, you say, look, give me the tools that I need to know to be able to hold on to as much as I can possible. Where I need the stuff in that, so I can know that it's making something that I can sustain, this lifestyle.
Yeah, a friend of mine, her brother's in the NFL, and I remember when she was telling me his rookie year, they were like, they had to hire people to keep the women away from him, because they were like, there's professional women just looking to get married to a football player. Yeah. And I was like, what? And then they were like, just don't leave your hotel, man. Just play the video games, watch game film,
Well, to each his own.
Yeah.
Everybody has their their sort or form of groupie.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen preachers with groupies. You know,
I mean, look at me. I got 3 groupies hanging around me right now.
I'm gonna be
I don't know where they're at, but they're here somewhere.
I'm gonna be real with you. It's in every profession. I mean, it's doctors that have people that sit out there that they go at bars and wait for doctors.
Oh, dude, 100%.
Like that's life. You know what I mean? You'll be surprised if you didn't know.
Yeah.
But I think as athletes, man, you know, you see these people are as entertainers.
Yeah.
And you become fond of who they are as a player, and then you don't know the person, but you understand what that player brings with him when it comes to his wealth. You know what I mean? And so it's like almost one of them catch-22s. You don't want to fault them. You don't fault them, but you fault them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not mad at you for going after that guy, but at the same time, why?
100%, man.
You know what I mean? But so at the end of the day, like, that's life. It's a part of life, and I think we all kind of go through it, and hopefully you understand you got that kind of, I guess you can say, you learned something about that before you got to that level. A lot of guys haven't had that experience.
Yeah.
See, I'm from Miami, so we grew up around it. You see it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get taught by your uncles, your dads, you name it, your moms. Most of your mom's gonna tell you about women first.
Right, yeah.
So before you get swarmed with this new fame, this new wealth, this new notoriety, if you from a place that has been already, you know, where that wasn't new to you, you're going to look at them like, girl, don't come over. It's the wrong person to try that with. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So to each his own. You know
for sure, man, 100%, dude. I mean, I can't even imagine. Plus, I've always appreciated, I'm like, you don't just become an NFL player. I mean, you got to put the work in, dude. It's like, and everybody's probably gunning for your job, right? You're always looking out, you're behind your back.
Yeah, but that's the to me, I think, that's what you fall in love with.
For sure,
you fall in love with the
process and everything,
with the process, with just knowing that it ain't nothing given.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you know how people say this world is a dog-eat-dog world?
Yeah.
That's how it is on the football field.
Oh, man,
it's a
100%.
gladiator sport.
Yeah.
Like, if you ain't that dude, it's going to be found out very soon. Real quick, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that part of it because we come in different packages.
Right, yeah.
Many different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
You know, guys walk past me and won't even notice that I played ball if they didn't know me.
Yeah, right,
And then when they find out, like, oh, how much big is you? Yeah, but tell me if this thing ticks the way mine does.
Right, exactly, yeah, your mind, You
tell me if the way I process things is the same way how you look at it. You know what I mean? So
100%,
That's what separates men, you know what I mean? It's not about how big, how small, it's about that heart you got and this here. Because a lot of us, you know, we see things or go through hard times, and this right here gets shifted. Like, man, my mental's so messed up, I can't even finish. But then some of us, when they go through it, we find a way to just channel ourselves to just saying, all right, this time I got to get through this. One way or another. I'm either going to go through it, go around it, go over it, under it. By any means, I'm going to get through this. So that's the difference. That's what separates men in these different battles. So that's why when you look at football players, and you say, well, how he made it or how he didn't make it, it's because of here and here.
100%, you know man. They had them. I mean, even like being in sales, with real estate, the first 30 days I can tell you if someone's going to make it or not. Whether they're coming to the office, whether they're making calls, whether they're responding quickly. And some people think like, oh, man, I don't have to come in, I don't have to do that. And I'm like, oh, they're not going to make it. I don't ever see them, you know?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's tough because, I mean, I ain't a salesperson. I can tell you that right now. But you know, when you look at real estate, it's crazy. It's one of the biggest wealth builders, you know, outside of some of these professional sports. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can look at it like if you have a kid that say, man, how can I get to what he got playing his sport but doing real estate?
Right,
you know, that's
exactly.
One of the first things I was told when I was young. My uncle was locked up, and the first thing he told me, you get some money, buy some property. Buy some property. You buy the property, when I get out, I'm going to take care of it. Like, my uncle would tell me that as a kid. And then I remember growing up and being in my mom and dad's house, and this lady would knock on the window and she would say, "Rent lady." And you know, kids are always curious. I'm sitting there like, what's the rent lady? And my dad broke it down to me. Oh, she owned this house. And
and
we pay her. She's a landlord. We pay her money. And I was like, oh, I want that one day. You know, and as a kid,
100%, man.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Exactly,
But every year I grew up, I started watching, and my dad, that's the thing that you got to appreciate about your fathers, because your mom and your dad, they give you a chance to live out some of those dreams when you don't even think they're possible.
100%.
And I remember my dad, he would always, like, after work, special days, whether it's a Friday or a day where he don't have to go to work the next day, if he saw something on his ride to work or doing what he was doing, he would come back home and say, y'all jump in the car and take y'all to this neighborhood.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we would ride and just look at nice houses.
That's awesome,
and look at nice neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, when y'all get some money, I want to live in something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to be able to be a kid that saw that and your dad preached that and show it to you, it was embedded in me. And so that was the first thing I was happy to be able to give my mom and dad, that knowing
awesome,
that this
man.
is something that we went on rides together and just dreamed about.
Yeah,
you know
100%. Man, I remember going around with my dad, and he'd always be like, "Oh, you see that guy? He owns commercial real estate." And I was like, "Man," or he owns a bunch of residential properties. And I was like, there was always a theme. I was like, "Man, they didn't hit the lottery. They just kept on to their properties, kept investing, stuff like that." You know. So, dude, like when you got moved to, came down to Washington, like what did you really like notice about the area? What did you think about the area? Because obviously you and your family still live around here. You do like stuff for the Commanders.
Yeah. It's funny, man, because you never really know. I was big on, by the time that I came here, I wasn't ready to leave then.
Yeah.
I was now like, man, I've been here 4 years.
Right, yeah, and I got to start all over.
The grass isn't always greener, so should I leave?
Right.
And I recall after that season, we had just made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember those years.
I balled out. The first round had like 100 yards and 4 catches against San Diego's Chargers at the time. Drew Brees was the quarterback. LaDainian Thomas was the running back. All of us was in the same
all
draft
Hall
class.
of Famers,
The next week, we went and played Pittsburgh. We lost to Pittsburgh, honestly, from 3 missed field goals to win the game.
Yeah.
But I had a punt return back. I ran a punt return back that game. That was the first postseason punt return in Jets history.
Yeah.
And so, like, and I didn't know that then. I found that out years later.
Right.
But to relive all those moments that I had leading up to that point, and then to say, like, 3 months later, I was a Red.
Yeah, and you're somewhere else,
It's unbelievable. But when I think back about it, I remember getting a call from my agents like, look, they promised us a contract when we came into this season.
Yeah.
If you remember, my 2003 season was my first year as a starting wide receiver.
Right.
Because I injured my knee my first year as a rookie.
Yeah.
So the second year, I had a banger year as a punt returner. I was an All-Pro, first team All-Pro punt returner. Led the league with 2 punt return touchdowns. Was the alternate for the Pro Bowl. Fast forward, the next year, Lavernius Coles got a big deal to come here.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So by week 4 or 5, I moved into the starting position.
Yeah.
Had my first 1,000-yard season.
Wow.
Had broke this, I guess you can say, consecutive game record of scoring touchdowns with seven games in a row. And was another alternate for the Pro Bowl, now as a receiver.
Yeah.
So that's 2 years out of 3 years I've been
Pro
there.
Bowl,
Hurt 1 year, 2 years back to back. I show you what you draft.
Yeah, exactly.
All pro as a punt returner, and now I'm an alternate as a receiver. I got my first 1,000-yard season as a starter in week 5, starting in week 5. So the next year, year 4, they already saying, look, we can't let you get to year 5 because you already exceeded expectations.
Right. Yeah,
in
we got
2 years.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pay you.
Right.
So when you make those kind of, agreements verbally, owners and agents kind of like have this single, I guess you can have this little, hey, that's what you're telling me, then we're gonna expect that.
So then it didn't come, and then that's what
the season went on, and they prolonged it, they prolonged it. Things happened through the season, and we still make it to the postseason. I was a big reason why, offensively.
Yeah, you were killing it. Yeah.
And then they just told my agent, well, we was disappointed in Santana with his punt returning this year. He took himself off a punt return. And so we want to see him 1 more year before we pay him. And my agent was like, you mean to tell me my star receiver, y'all star receiver, was having hamstring issues this year. So he said, look, I don't want to miss out as a receiver.
Right.
But I would take time from punt returning so I can let my hamstring heal because it's a different kind of speed.
For sure, man, yeah.
Running punts back and just running routes, I can gauge myself as a route runner, but I can't do that running from somebody as a punt returner. So that's what I did. I took myself off punt return, and my agent came back to me and said, bro, this is not what we signed up for.
Right, 100%.
I understand that. Yeah. And he knew me because I was like, nah, let me prove to them. He's like, no.
It ain't worth it.
This is not the prove to them league.
Because who knows, you could get hurt the next year or whatever.
Once you show them, they need to pay you.
Yep.
And he said, I refuse to allow you to feel that it's your job to prove to them all over when you just did that.
Right, yeah.
So if they don't want it, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the Redskins was like, we'll pay them.
Yeah, and then you came in and killed it, man. How many years were you with the Redskins?
I was 10.
10 years, that's crazy, man.
14 years total,
Good
4
Lord.
in New York,
Yeah, I mean, what do they call the NFL not for long, right?
Yeah,
14 years, that's a long time.
I mean, to tell you the truth, man, people fail to realize, because see, you know, we live in this social media world now, and people goes right to stats and immediately say, well, this guy was better because his stats.
Yeah.
But what people fail to realize, everybody have a different journey.
100%.
Everybody's story is different. Like, if you would have looked at my stats now and say 10,000 yards, over 700-some catches, over 60-some touchdowns, you would have never thought that I got hurt my first year.
You're right, yeah.
Hurt my knee my first year. So for a guy to go through those trials and tribulations and to bounce back and then to still have the sustainability to last as long as he did, and accomplish a tall feat in having 10. Because when I came in the league, that was the way you trying to get it as a receiver. Like,
for sure.
I remember asking older receivers, like, how is he considered a Hall of Famer? And the guy told me, oh, if you even trying to be in that category, it's 10,000 plus yards.
Yeah.
And so one of the things about a receiver, man, it's not, I don't have, you know, I got to rely on everybody else for me to be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not in my hands.
Everybody else has got to run their play right.
It's not in my hands to really be the guy.
Yeah.
Now I gotta have it in me to be the guy. So that's one thing.
Right.
But the play got to go right. The quarterback got to throw you the ball.
Yeah.
The play calling got to be in favor of you. It's so many other things has to work for me to get off. So if it's not in your if it's not favorable to you, you're not gonna always be that guy. So to even go through some of the systems I went through as run-oriented systems, and still to come out on top and have that yards, man, I don't take it for granted.
No,
I appreciate it, and I understood the work that I had to put into it. So I look back on it, man, and I appreciate the journey, because I told you, like I said, that's why we play the game.
Dude,
the
definitely,
different things you go through, you know.
And, not many people can look back and be like, yeah, I played in the NFL for 14 years. That's got to be a small. So, dude, like my favorite memory, man, I still remember that Monday night game in Dallas. And I just remember it was my friends, man, and we were all together watching, and we were like, oh, man, this game sucks. Everybody left. And then you catch that ball, score, and then you caught it again and won. And that, like, happened so quick, man. Do you remember that well, man? Because I've never been, like, Mark Brunell, everybody, that was just the best game. I still go back and watch that on YouTube.
I remember like it was yesterday. Because it was only my second game as a Redskins. And I remember.
In Dallas, by the way.
In Dallas. And I remember Portis coming up to me on the sideline. It was like almost one of those talks that we have amongst guys that just, you know, like, oh well, man, shit, we'll, you know, next week we'll
get them next time.
And I was pissed because I didn't even speak back. And Portis knew it wasn't like me. So he's like, man, what's wrong with you, bro? And I looked at him like, I said, man, we ran all them damn plays in practice and they ain't called one of them yet.
Right.
And getting back to that week, leading up to that week, I had been telling coaches that I want to run these certain routes against the person I was going against, because I was once teammates with him. I'm like, look, man, I was teammates with this guy, hell of a cornerback. I think the world of him. He kind of taught me a lot my first year there. But I remember playing against other teams and they ran these particular routes. And
you know his weaknesses as well.
I know I could run them. So I would love to try them. But we ran them all practice long, and especially Friday. I left out of Friday practice with my tongue dragging on the ground because I was that exhausted from running different routes that they was going to try to exploit, you know, their defense or their coverage with. And by that, fourth quarter, 3 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, it was like,
I hadn't ran none of those routes yet.
Yeah.
We was getting out behind thrash, you know. So when I said that, Portis walked off. So I'm sitting there in deep thought, like, damn, second game. But I'm mad because I know we left a lot on the field, excuse me. And come back, Coach Gibbs walked back with him and said, hey, you want to run the Dino? So, you know, like I say, I'm still getting to know people around.
Right,
this is my second game with the team.
Yeah.
So I was like, I looked at the clock, I'm like, I guess, Coach. I'm not going to say no.
About time,
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say no, for one.
Yep.
And lo and behold, man, we go out there, run the Dino first, and boom. Touchdown. And so if you go back and watch the highlights of that game, if you see how I wasn't very enthused, I just
I remember it. You were just like, you threw it up and you were just like, well, I do exactly what you're talking about.
And to me, that was me saying, well, at least I got it.
At least you got it.
I got this before the game over with. And I tried it back out of bounds. I remember the play. It was like a different energy kind of swung our way.
Yeah.
And I remember going back, and I remember S-Dot looking at me like, hey, bro, I'm finna get this ball back.
Yeah.
So now I got that in my head going to the sideline, and then Coach Gibbs came and say, hey, you said you wanted to run the Dino.
Let's run it again.
And so we had to think, these coaches are looking at me like now, like, well, damn.
Yeah.
This is a new player for us.
Right, 100%.
We saw what he did week 1. This is critical time week 2.
Right.
And he showed us why he wanted this damn
Yeah,
route.
exactly. He did.
So Coach Gibbs' energy, the way he came back to me, like, hey, we get this ball back, we going at him again. So now I'm like, now my thought process, everything about me is just like, okay, let me watch this defense and see if we get this ball back. And man, they were smacking. I seen us get the ball back, and I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, shit, it's on now.
We finna do it again.
Yep.
And like I say, I can remember it like it was slow motion because we called a totally different play and route. The route was similar. It wasn't a Dino this time. It was just a beeline post. And we called it, and they called it on the wrong side. So I lined up on the left side of the field first. And I remember, I don't know if it was a timeout called or what, but we got back to the huddle, and they say, nah, Tanner, we're going to the right side, back to the side that I caught the first route with. And when I lined up, I'm scanning the field, and I see the safety. I see Roy Williams. I'm like, he in cover 4. He too close.
Right.
And he flat. And I'm looking at their corner, and I'm like, AG, he back wide, so they gotta it gotta be some kind of 4. And I just, literally, I ran in between both guys because I got my corner here, the safety here, and instead of just running a straight line, I kind of ran with a stem, like I was running at the safety because I didn't want to be too far from the safety when I made that plant to the post. So if you think about it, if you can picture it, I got my safety here flat, the corner here probably on the same plane. If I'm here and I run straight, when I put my foot in the ground, when I go to the post, he have an easier way to get me.
He can catch you. Yeah.
So be trying to outsmart them at the same time, but at the same time try to, create leverage. I ran with a little more of a stem closer to him. So by the time I put my feet in the ground, when I do the post, I'm gonna be behind him instead of.
Yeah, and he's got to pivot differently.
So now I don't have to worry about him smashing me in my head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be behind him. And man, when I put the foot in the ground, I look up like 2, 3 steps. I don't think I even took 2 or 3 steps.
Yeah.
The ball was already coming down.
I remember, dude, I remember that like it was yesterday,
I remember seeing Chief in the back of the end zone, man, and I was just like, this is unreal.
Dude.
This might be the game right here.
Dude. That was the game. And I remember, man, everyone was talking about that for the longest time, and like everyone was going crazy, man. That was like one of my favorite memories, man, because I remember, like, I think I was, like, hearing the news, like, next day, people were, like, sending flowers to you to, like, Redskins Park the next day.
Man, look, if I tell you what the stuff I was getting in the mail, trust me, a lot of people eyes be like this.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it was unreal because, honestly, at the time, like I say, I'm just getting familiar with everything. Like, I barely know how to get around Northern Virginia.
Right,
You know, we were staying out in Northern Virginia, and I remember when I got home that night, I literally woke up the next morning like it was a regular day. Like, we got home so late. It was a Monday night game.
Yeah.
So think about it. We probably our plane probably landed 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
My son had to go to elementary school in the morning. I got up like a regular parent and took him to school.
Yeah.
But had no clue of what just transpired for the area. I know what I did.
You didn't know anything about it.
I'm a ball player. That's what we do. We play ball.
Yeah.
So I take my son, Santana Jr., to school. I say, I need gas. Let me go over here to the gas station in Leesburg. So I'm over into the gas station. I'm pumping gas. And, I got like a little scuff or something. So I'm like looking at my arm. And I'm just hearing screeching cars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the hell happened?
Like somebody getting shot.
I look back, people running to me like, they done got out the car, running towards me. It was like, I just fucking won a Super Bowl or something.
Dude.
So that was like my welcome to DC moment. Like, oh man, this is something different up here. Like, I just came from New York where the fans will get on you. Yeah. Or they'll love you or they'll get on you. But I'm like, this is unreal. Like, these fans really cherish. And then by the time I left from there and got home, got back to the facility, I realized how meaningful that game was.
Yeah.
Because that was Dan Snyder's first win in Jerry's world since he's bought the team.
Yeah.
And just the rich history of that whole rivalry, it all set in then.
Yeah.
So, man, I mean, that's why I say, I look back at it now and, like, at one time I used to ask the fans, why are you so hell-bent on that game? It was like, bro, that's like a Super Bowl.
That was,
if you don't
man.
go far, you beat Dallas.
Yeah.
In that fashion,
Yep.
You know, that's going to be something that we hang high.
And that was such a lame game to that point, man. That game was so slow. It was like, come on.
I mean, bro, like I say, like, I have so many other games that I put in front of that game far as memorable moments for me.
Yeah.
But
people here should talk
let
about
a fan tell you they favorite moment. They gonna say that game.
Yeah, I mean, and then ever since then, you were like a legend around here, man. Still are, but it's like anytime he mentions your name, it's like Santana. And dude, yeah, man, that was like
I'm
crazy.
glad. Look, I tell folks all the time, and I have these interviews, and you know, especially when I'm doing little Q&As and stuff for the team, I say, man, thank God that I was able to be a somewhat decent player. You know what I mean? Because if that was the only game, I would feel bad as a player. Like,
right. Yeah, that's all they remember you for.
Like, that's all I did.
Yeah, dude.
So
man.
I'm happy to say that was one of many.
Yeah,
but that's the one they hold high, man. That's the one they hold high.
That was such a dark era too, like in the Redskins history. It was like Snyder and them. We just weren't winning, and then you came in, man. Dude, so like, what was it like playing with Sean Taylor? What was he like?
It was different, man. I mean, you know, like I say, all the time I talk to folks about it. My brother got a chance to play with him in college.
Yeah.
That year was my first year playing with him. But I crossed his paths many of the times of me coming home in the off season working out at the University of Miami.
Yeah.
And so I heard the myth. I heard the stories. I saw his rookie season, how he dominated.
Yeah, killing
So
it.
when I was coming over the next year, I'm just geeked to be on the team with him. Like, man, this is a man child over here that I'm getting a chance to now be on his team and not have to worry about playing against him. And it was just totally opposite of what I heard.
Right. Yeah.
Like from the stories of, you know, the different things he went through off the field that they was painting a different picture.
Like he was a bad guy or something.
Man, this guy was the greatest fucking teammate, person.
Yeah.
I even consider him a better person than me, honestly. I mean, if you like me, and you think I'm an outgoing person, you know, very approachable, you know, person, man, this guy was 10 times better than me.
Yeah.
And I love that about him. And for some odd reason, I felt like when I got here, they did something with our seating to make sure he was close to me.
Nice.
We sat next to each other in the big team meeting room. On the planes, we shared the row together, so it was like, you know, if he had A, I had C.
Yeah.
No one sat in the middle of us. Like, everything we did as a team, we was always near.
Nice.
And even the year that he left us, that year both of us was hurt at the same time.
Yeah.
So we was in the training room next to each other on the table.
Working out together.
Getting treatment a lot. And we got a chance to kind of really bond and talk a lot. And so, especially on those trips. So thinking back, man, that's why it tears me up just knowing like, man, this guy was really becoming an all-pro, a great in this league. And not only that, man, an all-pro in his daughter's life, because that's where I really saw a change at with him. Like, he was really dedicating everything going forward to being the best dad he can be and the best person he can be for his daughter.
Yeah, nah, man. I mean, I've heard he's an amazing guy. I remember just like hearing stories of him being like signing autographs, doing whatever. I think what happened, I know what you're talking about, like LeVar Arrington, I think, shoved like shaving cream or something in his eyes, and he didn't have like a funny reaction.
Yeah.
And I think the media penned it like, oh man, he's a bad dude. And I'm like, dude, if you shove shaving cream in someone's eye, that's gonna hurt, man. You're not gonna walk around laughing.
So I heard the story. It's stuff that we get done to us as rookies. Thankfully, I didn't have to experience that in New York. I wasn't here with him when that happened.
Right.
Because it was the next year I came. But I heard the story, and just to say, bro, like, that's the thing I hate about our world, especially in the media. Like, they take one thing and they can ride it. You know what I mean? That 100%. Could be the narrative of you for years if you don't rearrange it or change it. You know what I mean? So I think they took that and ran with it, just knowing some of the other things that had transpired off the field with, you know, like, this is the thing that bothered me the most about just, I guess you can say, what they perceived of him. Let's just say you grew up in the neighborhood. You know, it's rough where you from, and you had enough money to buy these four-wheelers or these dirt bikes.
Right, exactly.
And that's you spent your hard-earned money, and somebody came and took it from you. Yeah. And not only did they take it, they riding up your street with it.
Yeah, right.
And you see it. What are you gonna do?
You ain't gonna laugh and just hang out. You're gonna be pissed. Yeah.
So when a guy retaliates to the people that took his personal belongings, and then you paint him out to be the bad guy, come on, like what are we saying? So that's what, when I got here, that was the only thing that I heard that bothered me.
100%.
Like, if you're trying to take that little incident and make this guy out to be this troubled guy or troubled player, then that's wrong. So, and then that's only because you didn't know him.
Right, 100%.
And it's another times because as beat writers or analysts, when they come out to speak to us, we're not all taught how to talk to the media. You know what I mean? I learned the hard way. I learned that in New York. And I think Sean was kind of quiet in his own way and didn't speak to everybody.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So people get offended by that because they feel like, oh, you're jeopardizing my job because my job was to come out here and get an interview from you.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know that as players. We don't know that I'm first on your list because your boss say, get an interview from Santana.
Right.
We don't know that. So as players, we have umpteen other things to do in that day. And if you don't come at the right time, we say, not right now, you mad.
Yeah, you're pissed off.
But we don't know that that's your obligation. You know what I'm saying? So over time, I learned it the hard way. So by the time I left New York, when I got here, I had a new attitude about it. I'm like, you know what? I didn't know that these guys in this locker room, they're not just here by chance. They need an interview from somebody. So I started giving everybody interviews just for
being a nice guy.
Because I not even been nice, just understanding. Look, man, these people can paint me the evilest, wrongest person in the world just off of me saying no. So let me just give them something. And now I get to dictate what's been said about me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Because even in the darkest times of my game or just moments of our careers or our seasons, I get to paint a different picture about me.
Yeah.
I get to tell you what's really going on in my words. And so if I have the last say so, you don't get a chance to write something else about me. You see what I'm saying?
No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, there was like old baseball stories. It was like, I think it was like Lou Gehrig or Babe Ruth's like best friend was the journalist. And it's like, because, I mean, he never shared anything bad about him. You know, they said or did, but those days are like long gone in the history, you know? Dude, so like, what did you, when you moved here, like what area did you really like when you moved to Northern Virginia? Were you like impressed with or?
Lansdown.
When
I got up here, my relatives, it was a friend of mine's wife. She was a relative in the area, and she took me. She said, "I got 5 houses to show you," and the first house was in Lansdown.
Nice.
And I was like, "Okay, I want this."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I got
That's
4
a nice
more to show you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Look, I don't got to go nowhere else. I'm good." So we went to all the other spots. But I was sold, man, and so that was the area for me. But now it's so many other areas around.
Yeah, it's so built up. Yeah.
So you know, it's a lot of places that I will explore. I'm actually now looking for a land. I want to build.
Nice.
I want to build my own stuff now. Not even my own personal home. I want to build real estate, like far as rental properties. And stuff.
For sure, man.
So I'm seeing all these different townhomes being built.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that did her own, and I said, you know what? I've been saying I want to do it. I got to pull the trigger.
I remember that was me and you talked.
Yeah, we had the same conversation.
Yeah, me and you talked about that before.
I want to pull the trigger and do my own.
Yeah.
So I'm looking. I had a guy just told me about some areas, especially one area in particular, out south on 7. You know how you take 7, you've been around. It's some land out that way that I'm gonna look into.
For sure, man. Yeah, you know what's happened around here since, obviously when you moved here, it's like all these data centers now. There's not much building going on around here anymore, man.
And that's why a lot of times too, that I didn't know this then. Well, a lot of these people coming in to work, they come in like 6 months at a time.
Yep.
So the Airbnb and I guess you can call it. What it was called, business stay or something like
there's
that?
like a traveling nurse one too. One of my buddies did that. He moved to Florida and he kept his he rented out to traveling nurses.
Yeah, man.
What, if someone didn't know the area where would you tell them to move? What do you think?
Ashburn, Bremerton, Broadlands, all that stuff. I like Reston. I like it all, man.
Yeah, it's a good area,
anywhere in that area. And don't get me wrong, I was coming here and you riding through, I'm not even sure the name of the area. I know McLean is one of the areas, but what's the area? The Mosaic?
Oh, yeah, Falls Church, Tyson's area. Yeah, Falls Church area.
It's nice out there.
Yeah,
Man.
Mosaic, that's all brand new over there.
Nice
Yeah.
I go out there to eat there. I like the gelato, so I go wade over there for gelato.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this house we're in now, Premier Homes Group. Shout out to Priscilla for arranging this, man.
No doubt.
This house right here, me and you were talking about it, man. This like right in McLean, beautiful houses, beautiful layout. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. Loudon is really good. So many jobs out there right now. It's not like it's much government workers as people think it is either, man. What do you think about the Commanders now, man? Like new ownership, new things going on, like a lot of excitement, new stadium.
I'm loving the energy that I feel from the city alone.
Yeah.
I think the new ownership and just the new, I guess you can say, regime when it comes to the coaches and everything has ignited something in these fans, man, that I haven't seen in a long time. And it's crazy when you have a little success, because now everybody wants to be a part of it, and you see the different things about where the stadium could be possibly, going back to, and then just the whole thing with the 2027 draft coming here.
Yep.
Like, it's so many different opportunities that opens up now because you have a good football
100%, man. All the things that comes with it, yeah.
Hats off to Jaden Daniels, hats off to Dan Quinn.
I love Jaden, man.
Hats off to AP, hats off to the Harrison and his group of, owners or investors that has helped him kind of build a great, team again.
I feel like they're like a lot more stable too. Like they're patient and they're like stable,
That's what it's about. I think when you look around the league, at the organizations that are successful, man, it starts from the top.
Yeah, 100%, man. It trickles down, man.
And you want to be able to have stability there. Yeah. So now everywhere else is easier for them to kind of maneuver and do what they need to do.
Yep, 100%, man. Yeah, dude. It's just like there's such a new energy, and then I love the fact the potential of getting back into like DC, man, and just going back to see the games. Because dude, there's a whole generation here. Like my nieces are like in their 20s. They don't ever know the Commanders or Redskins of being winning teams.
Yeah.
So they're not even like football fans, and I'm like, man, you guys don't, but it's so crazy, man.
I think that's gonna stop. Because, boy, when you got a guy like Jaden Daniels, man, like he's a special. It's special to not special, but it's a great feeling to just watch a guy with the talent that he has. And it's one thing of being a good football player, but for the guys who know how hard it is to play that position, that quarterback position is tough.
Yeah.
Man. It just seems like the guy has his head on right, man.
100%, man.
Good head on his shoulders, and I like his upbringing. I got a chance to speak to his mom and his dad, and you can see out the gate, man, that's where it starts at.
Yeah, I love seeing him and his mom around, man. She seems like a really good person, goes, talks with the fans.
When you have a great foundation like that at home, man, everything else is easier.
Dude, no, man, 100%, bro. So I ask you, like, one final question, man. Like, being a successful guy that you are, like, what advice would you have for anybody, whether it was, like, football, sales, whatever, like, as far as, like, being successful the way that you've been in your life?
You got to speak it.
Speak it?
You got to speak it, man. You got to speak it. I think one of the things we fail to realize, I do a lot of stuff throughout my foundation, 89 Ways to Give, where we go out and talk to kids. And I had a saying, and it's nothing special about it, but I tell the kids, if you can see me, you can be me.
Yeah.
And I know because a lot of kids don't get a chance to see guys that they have heard about or seen on TV.
Right.
So when I go out and have these walks and have these little talks with them, I'm letting them know, if you see me, you can touch me and you can be me. And I'm not saying to be me as a football player. I'm saying you can be somebody successful in life. You can be somebody that may have lived out a dream. Whatever that dream may be, that's me. I lived out a dream of mine that I set when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yep.
Probably 5 or 6 years old. And, every year I went through different obstacles that I could have easily just said, man, it's not likely.
Yeah, you're like, guys,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People from where I'm from don't get this opportunity. Let me go ahead and quit now. But I never quit. I kept my head straight. Like I said, I kept them blinders on. I don't take that for granted. I always say you got to have blinders because there's so many different things around you that's trying to tear you apart from what you're really trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? You can't believe it like it is, but it is.
Yep.
It's the temptation's out there. It's always come up at the wrong time. So that's some of the things I try to give. It's nothing big about it. It's just telling them, like, look, man, I was a kid that had ambition, that had a drive, that had a dream.
Yeah.
And I stuck to it. I broke my arm, I broke my jaw, I broke fingers. I had scoliosis for a year where they told me I couldn't play no more. I was already defeated when they told me I was 5'9", too short. I was probably even gonna play receiver growing up. Like, I had so many things going against me to where I could have easily quit.
Right,
fold my tail and said, I don't have a shot. But I just stayed with the same mindset and the belief.
Yeah.
And before you know it, with all the work that I put in, it accumulated to me being a successful player that had a chance to have a look to be a pro. And before you know it, I got into the door and I didn't look back. And so that's what I would tell them, man. I just let them know, man, like, it starts here, mentally.
Yeah.
And just told my son the other day, I had this talk with him on the phone, I FaceTime, and I'm like, man, I got a chance to talk to my youngest boy about what he want to be, and it meant something to me, because even though my dad asked me at an earlier age, we get caught up in our rat race to where you forget to kind of ask them questions as a kid.
For sure.
To your kids. And so I said, hey, man, this slipped my mind, and it's never too late to ask.
Yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up? He said, I want to play football. I said, okay. And despite anything he was going through at the time, football-wise, not football-wise, I said, okay, Well, if that's what you want, it starts today.
Right, yep.
I say today is your day. You put any and everything that you've ever went through behind you. And you got to start focusing on that goal. If that's your goal,
yep,
that's where we're going to start today. And you got to work. I say, Savion, this ain't going to be given. It wasn't given it to me. And you might have it easier now with being that I was able to have the career that I had, but that don't mean nothing. If you want it bad enough, you can have it. So you got to start today. And I just told him that got to be his mindset and his process. And I felt good not only telling him that, because I felt good to know that now he has something to say, okay, I can go from here.
Yeah, you start.
I don't feel like leading him to that point, I had that kind of conversation with him.
Yeah.
And I was almost feeling like, damn, man, what kind of father am I?
Yeah.
I haven't had this talk with my son about what he want to be. But we didn't just talk about sports, because I kind of took that and swung it and said, okay, it might not be, but what else? And he told me about entrepreneurship. He told me about real estate. And I'm like, that's good, because real estate is what I'm into. That's something that I'm still doing. That's something that I'm out. That's why I say you see me out there purchasing lots and stuff, building, because I'm trying to now rebuild my portfolio that I had from once, as a player. So that is always great. And I'm like, look, if you want to be that, if you have that in mind too, then you need to start challenging your thoughts to that too. Start reading, doing your research. And even when I'm doing stuff out in the field, you come take a ride with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what they need. Kids need a guy. We all need a guy. Even as an adult, I need a guy. I used to tell my coach me, man. Don't think I know it all. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying?
man.
If you see something and you don't think I know it, tell me. Because I promise you, if I do or don't, it's going to go a long way with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the biggest mistakes is when people are like, I'm going to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And tomorrow never comes. But yeah, man, I mean, growing up, my grandfather was a center. He's since passed away. And people used to always say to me, man, it must have been nice. You know, your grandfather, what did he come from, some rich family? I'm like, nope, he was an orphan, grew up on a farm. Mm-hmm. They had it during the Great Depression. They lost it to the bank. He fought in World War II. Started up an airline by himself, and like ended up becoming a senator, and it's like, but anytime I went to him for advice, he would like sit down and talk to me for like 15, 20 minutes, or if I'd call him, he'd always answer, and I always crack up. Deal with salespeople and they don't answer their phone or call people back, I always go back. My grandfather was a senator. Mm-hmm. He ran an airline, and I could get him on the phone.
Wow.
He answered the phone no matter what it was. You know what I mean? He was never too busy, and you grow up with that, it definitely changes your mindset,
Yeah, it does, man. But I think also and that's probably something, the reason why you took what you saw from him and made you who you are. There's always somebody that kind of, you can look at and say, okay, I'm gonna get my drive, or I'm gonna try to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, for sure.
What I've seen, from his journey, and try to put it with mine.
Yeah, definitely. But dude, you're motivating as hell, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I know me and you text, we talking all that. I'm looking forward to having you at another client party. Where can should we follow you on Instagram? Check out your foundation.
I'm simple, man. I'm on Instagram, 8 to the 9.
Yeah.
You spell out 8, TODA 9. Spell it all out. Facebook, the same thing. What you call it? Threads.
Threads.
Thing. My foundation, 89waysToGive.org. That's what you look us up. We have coming up May 31st. I have a bowling tournament. I'm
nice, man. I'm gonna have to go to that.
Come on. I'm throwing my first annual bowling tournament. I'm gonna be doing this every year on my birthday weekend. My birthday is actually June 1st, the day after.
Nice, awesome,
so
man.
The bowling tournament is gonna be something that I'm adding to some of the things that we already do. We've been doing a golf tournament for the last, almost 7 years now.
Yeah.
I think the one year we didn't do it was the pandemic year, and probably the year afterwards. But that's been a success, along with some of the things we do in the community with the food drives, the toy drives, and different things we do for the kids. But people always ask me, what is my foundation, who is it for? And I'm like, look, I was an inner city kid that grew up, and I knew that it was, at times, my friends didn't have the household that I had. Even though we from the same place, I had a little more stability. Sometimes that single mom, that single dad, that grandmother, whoever might be taking care of them kids need a little help. And instead of me going out and doing something for the Salvation Army or for whoever, which Salvation Army is one of the great.
Great.
I had a great partnership with them. But instead of me giving it to some other group to give to someone, let me be the one that's personable and give it to them people who I see the need. So we do it, and we get active into the community. And,
Love it, man.
My manager has a way of different people, like she has her emails and stuff out there where people in the neighborhood or people in the community reach out and say, hey, I just had a fire at my house. I just got laid off. Whatever it may be, we try to help.
Yeah.
And, we can't please everybody, but we can do as much as we can. So that's some of the reasons why you know, I have the foundation because I've always wanted to be that guy, and I've been a giver from day one.
Yeah, definitely, man.
And I just channeled what I was doing personally to saying, hey, help me be able to do what I want to do. And so now I got a community of people that just giving back to me and allowing me to give back. So
no, dude, love that, man. We'll definitely post up at that foundation for sure. I'm definitely gonna have to pull through to that. But
appreciate it.
You guys definitely better subscribe, man. I mean, come on, we got Santana Moss on here, the legend himself. So appreciate you guys. And again, premierhomes.group, am I right? Yeah, that's their website. Check out these beautiful houses they have here as well. I'll see you guys at the top or from the top.